When Limp Bizkit was recording what was at the time their most mature album, results may vary, Fred Durst had a number of interpersonal stuff going on in his life. Wes Borland quit the band due to his fear of being a sellout. Limp Bizkit went on a talent search for a new guitarist and came up empty. They eventually hired former Snot guitarist Mike Smith, loved him for a few months, and then later canned him. Durst had a 1-year-old son in his care. He was trying his hand with guitar and of course was working along with DJ Lethal, John Otto, and Sam Rivers to create the next new metal masterpiece. But perhaps the most fraught and interesting of these conflicts was the one between Fred Durst and Britney Spears. I've seen a couple different portmanteaux for the names of these two, but I'm going with Bread. Bread was spotted by the paparazzi in late 2002, which got the tabloids writing about a possible relationship. But what exactly was their relationship and how did it begin? Britney was in a relationship with NSYNC's Justin Timberlake from 1998 until 2002, when it was rumored that she cheated on him. Timberlake said he would never tell why the breakup happened, which kind of just makes it sound super sketchy. Spears denied the rumor that she cheated on him and that the reason they broke up was because they had different life goals. Now, that latter part made little to no sense because they're both musicians. So how different are these goals? Couldn't they construct their tour dates alternately? However, it was also revealed that Spears wanted to get married, but Timberlake wasn't ready. Still, that doesn't mean that Timberlake wasn't open to doing so eventually. As we all know, he's married right now. Also, if the reason they broke up was merely because he didn't want to get married, or get married yet, why would he say that he would never say why they broke up? That's pretty odd. The rumor is that Britney was getting very close to choreographer Wade Robson, who was also friends with Justin. So apparently, Timberlake found a note from Robson in Spears' room which alluded to the two hooking up. Both were pretty hurt by the breakup. Britney said to the UK's The Sun, "I am the type of person who can't go from a serious relationship and then just start dating someone else straight away. It's a strange feeling getting used to being single again, but I suppose I'll have to cope. I'm just starting to get the knack of it because ever since I was 15, I've been in a serious relationship." This is a very interesting bit of information, but it highlights how celebrities feel the need to present a certain image of who they are. Because how could Britney say she's not the type of person who can go from a serious relationship and start dating someone else new, but somehow she had been in a serious relationship since she was 15? She wasn't dating Justin when she was 15. Remember this point for later. In 2002, Fred Durst was recruited to write for a new Britney Spears album. As weird as that may sound, it's true. This album would eventually be November 2003's In the Zone. He had 3 demos for her, which he later judged to be too dark and mature for her brand. They worked together, and after being in the studio for 2 days, Fred handed Britney a letter as she left. At about 3 in the morning, Britney calls Fred wanting to hang out. It seemed that she had just come from the club, but apparently she was wearing a see-through top, no bra. Paco, Fred's friend, was seeing this and in disbelief. Britney came to the crib in the wee hours of the morning to hang out? Her entourage was there, but apparently they were just her cousins. But everyone got along. Then they all went back to Britney's place. Fred recounted that fateful night on the Howard Stern show with great trepidation. He was dodging questions and answering questions with questions. Ultimately, he caved and revealed it all. And I would share the clips with audio, but they take such a long time to get to the points. So I'll just outline them here. Initially, when asked if they slept together and if it was a one-night thing, Fred said it would be uncool for him to answer. DJ Crazy Cabby was on the line and revealed some private information that Fred told him in confidence. Apparently, he ate her ass? They never said that verbatim though. Howard said, "You ate her very bad place. The worst place." It's radio, so, they can't really say those things. They can't say anything worse than that. Anyway, he also admitted that she liked dirty talk and the virgin angle she spun was nothing but an illusion. But I think we all figured that out. Well, everybody except for me, because I was really naive back then. Howard and the crew even wanted details about her bush, which Fred refused to speak about, but instead nodded or shook his head. And then they asked who's better in bed, Carmen Electra or Britney. Fred completely redirects the conversation. Smart. Paco then joins in with producer Baba Booey. Baba Booey asks Fred point blank if Fred and Britney had sex. Fred had answered yes in every single way other than by saying yes. And so Fred told Paco to tell the doting audience. Paco sighs and says, "Yeah," which caused the backroom staff of the Howard Stern show to erupt in applause. Now, why would the incredible, subliminal, the incredible D kiss and tell? I thought he was a gentleman. Well, the jury's still out on that one, but there's a reason he decided to kiss and tell. Fred was smitten with Britney. He and Limp Bizkit were filming a television documentary for MTV called Album Launch, where we saw and heard Fred talk about how amazing she was. He even said when he left the house, he sprinkled rose petals onto the bedroom floor to the door. Later, he talked with her over the phone and they both made plans to link up. She was at the Sundance Film Festival, which took place between January 16 to 26, 2003. Fred booked a flight for Utah and met up with Britney at a screening. She even asked if Fred's friend Paco had come with him, but Fred claimed that Britney was being weird that night. Then it was Fred's turn to be weird when he approached Pauly Shore after Britney told Fred that she saw Pauly earlier in the day. Pauly was understandably confused by Fred's approach towards him, especially since Fred and Pauly were friends. Fred then left Sundance and returned to the studio. He recorded Just Drop Dead and said that Britney was some of the inspiration behind the song. Based on the events that happened and the lyrics, you could make the argument that Fred is telling the truth, but you could also make the argument that he's covering things up. But as Fred had said throughout this entire ordeal, he isn't a liar. Personally, I think that the song isn't totally about Britney, but I think if that weirdness didn't happen between him and Britney at Sundance, this song would never exist. She was the primary inspiration, in my opinion. Now, according to Fred, a week after Sundance, Britney was going to meet up with Justin. He told her, as in Fred told Britney, to cancel the trip and hang out with him, Fred, for a little romantic rendezvous instead, and she agreed. And about a week later, she was spotted with Colin Farrell at the premiere of his movie, The Recruit. It premiered January 31st, 2003. Later, Colin and Britney were seen on his hotel balcony kissing, so far the timeline is matching up. However, Farrell stated that he was just enjoying his single life and having a good time. He and Britney weren't in a relationship. On February 17, Britney made an appearance on TRL, or Total Request Live, for those of you that don't know what that is, where Carson Daly asked Britney if she wanted to give a shout out to Fred Durst. Britney replied that she didn't know him that well, but confessed that they worked together and that he's a cool guy. This pissed Fred off and it caused him to leak Just Drop Dead onto the internet. In reality, he didn't leak anything. He put the song out for free on Limp Bizkit's website with a note saying, "It's a crazy world we live in, and too many people can't be honest. Everything happens for a reason. This is raw, unmixed, and straight from the studio. I couldn't help it." That's not a leak, that's a diss track. But it's a pretty catchy one, I'll admit. And my favorite lines, oh my god, my favorite lines from this track are, "You got a lot of fucking nerve. You think this is a fucking tennis match, bitch. Time for me to serve. I'm John McEnroe, ready for me ho. It's 15 love, where the fuck you gonna go?" Classic. I can understand Fred's frustration and I can understand Britney's hesitancy. However, the overall problem is that Fred made mistakes, Britney made mistakes, Bread made mistakes. But I'll start with Britney's half of Bread. I don't think that earlier quote where she said she couldn't jump from one relationship to another is true. I mean, just look at her history. She was with her hometown boyfriend, then hit the big time and rekindled her relationship with Justin. She allegedly cheated on Justin with dancer Wade Robson, who she would go on to date until 2002. Then she moved to Fred in late 2002 to early 2003, which included a brief thing with Colin Farrell. Then she was spotted with another dancer, Columbus Short, who was married. And obviously his wife was pissed, and obviously he lost his job. And obviously he lost his marriage. In 2004, she got married twice. First to childhood friend Jason Alexander, no, not the guy from Seinfeld, and annulled the marriage in 55 hours. Next was the infamous Kevin Federline, yet another dancer who broke up with his pregnant girlfriend Shar Jackson. They were married for 2 years, with Britney filing for divorce in 2006, but she started dating again in 2007, linking up with music producer J.R. Rotem. It goes on and on like this, even after her public meltdown in 2007 and her conservatorship in 2009. Dude, she even dated paparazzi. However, she has been in a relationship with model Sam Asghari since 2016, making their relationship, I believe, the longest lasting one she's had. On top of that, the Free Britney movement kicked in, revealing that her conservatorship should have ended in 2009. Her friends want her father, Jamie Spears, not to be confused with her little sister, Jamie Lynn Spears, who also seems pretty sketchy, to stop controlling her finances and her life. Now for the Fred half of Bread. As much as I love this man and his music, he isn't without fault. For starters, he did nothing wrong in being with her and keeping Bread to himself for as long as he did. But when Britney revealed who she really was in her actions, he should have taken the message and stopped breaking his own heart. To me, it looked like Fred projected his desires onto her, but she was never able to fulfill them. She could never commit to Fred and wanted to play the field. People like Colin Farrell were doing the same thing, and that's why he didn't get trapped. Fred, on the other hand, definitely got trapped because he wanted something and he needed her to fulfill his desires. And when she didn't, he got mad. She didn't get weird per se, she just didn't want to deepen the relationship. The only way Fred might have gotten in is if he was always around her. For example, if he was a backup dancer, because that seems to work. Too bad he gave up the breakdancing. But it's the age-old problem, and maybe you've seen it yourself or done it yourself. I know I have. It's not an easy one to break out of. Anyway, then Britney makes things worse by making it seem like they weren't something, and that's when the gentleman Fred disappeared and douche Fred stepped in. I don't think defending himself on Howard Stern was wrong. He set the record straight, but those guys made things pretty crass. Granted, no one put a gun to his head and forced him to do the show or to say anything, but I think it was among the better options. It's not as if he was going to go on Good Morning America. The solution for Fred? was the last thing he was ever going to do, and that was to drop the notion that Britney Spears was an option for a relationship. He thought she was, but the truth is she wasn't. Whatever happened between them made him think that there could be more. He even sang "I Deserve More" in the song Just Drop Dead. And he was right, but he would never be with her. Fred said that he wouldn't have needed to be on Howard Stern if Britney hadn't made him out to be a liar and minimized that they had a thing. He never said they were in a relationship, but to deny the connection really hurt him. In fact, Fred called her a liar and pulled his songs from consideration for Britney's album. In the album launch documentary, Durst said that his favorite thing in the world was the company of a woman. And he's had a lot of it. But unfortunately, he filed for divorce in 2018 from his third wife, Xenia Barazino. He divorced his first wife before Limp Bizkit's debut album in 1997. When speaking to MTV News about West Borland's return to Limp Bizkit, which would then lead to their actual most mature work, The Unquestionable Truth Part 1, things pivoted to Britney. He said that it was probably taboo for a guy like him and a girl like her to be together. At first I thought this was a cop-out, but I thought about it, and I'm really struggling to think of a similar example. Maybe you can think of one, let me know. But I guess Gwen Stefani and Gavin Rossdale was the closest thing, but I don't think they count. Or Avril Lavigne and Chad from Nickelback, but I don't think they count either. I don't know, maybe Fred has a point. Rock stars date models, or maybe porn stars or other rock stars for the most part. Anyway, lastly, Fred commented on Britney's presence, but also made an astute prediction after she went through her public meltdown in 2007. He said, "Her own decisions and different things in her life, people can judge her all they want, but she has an extreme presence, and when she's giving it, it's really good. I don't think you can really write her off, and I just think it'd be silly for people to think that they could. Everything kind of works in cycles, and I think she's an example of how those things work." Thanks for watching.